beloved. I was scrolling on my social media a couple of days ago, as I am wont to do in moments of idleness, and I ran across this little video put out by the Informed Parents of Massachusetts. Mary Ellen Seigler talked to Jennifer McWilliams, who happens to be the founder of Purple for Parents, Indiana. And apparently this group is dedicated to protecting our children from indoctrination in the public school system. And what they're talking about specifically is something called social emotional learning. And my goodness, my ears pricked up there because I know people who teach social emotional learning. And far as I can tell, social emotional learning is a pretty good thing. It's a form of civics. It's teaching people how to behave in society, how to live in the world and get along with each other, even if you don't agree with them. But these two folks don't think that's the case. What they think is that this is simply a tool to push Marxist ideas and other nefarious things. And the thing about it is, I know people who teach this stuff, and I'll tell you right now, they are none of the things that those two and others think and say that they are. So, just to be a little bit more specific and drawing from the video itself that I watched, here's a little snippet of it. So, the interviewer asks this question. Could you give us a quick example of a lesson of social emotional learning? Now, by the way, I encourage you to go to the source. Go look up social emotional learning, not as it is interpreted by somebody, but the actual curriculum, and take a look at it for yourself. But this is one of the things that they mention. They will give a child a situation that would cause a child to feel empathetic. Apparently, that's not a good thing, because the child will be influenced to say, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. So it's teaching empathy and compassion to those social issues that may not align with what is going on in the home. Now, if what is going on in the home is not empathetic or compassionate, there's a problem there, especially if that home claims to be a Christian home, because central to Christianity is compassion and empathy. He became one of us because he loved us. Now, being empathetic does not mean that I agree with you. I do not agree that we should celebrate the Confederacy, for instance, but that does not mean that I think that we should do away with all of Southern culture. I do believe we should do away with statues that were intended specifically to intimidate people. That, yeah, I do believe in. But there are aspects of Southern culture that are wonderful and welcoming and terrific. I can understand it because I had an ancestor fall at Vicksburg for the South. And when I was a little boy, I was encouraged to wear a gray cap instead of a blue cap, because that was my culture. But that culture enslaved people. And that doesn't mean that the racism is located only in the South. There's plenty of racism go around. I'm looking at you, Boston. Point is, I can understand something. I can empathize with it. It doesn't mean that I agree with it. I can empathize with a hijab. If two people want to wear clothing that is modest and is a clear outward sign of an inward way of life, and both parties agree to it, okay, that's on you, as long as both parties agree to it. What I don't agree is bombing little children for going to school, or throwing acid on people because they choose not to wear that hijab. I can empathize, but I do not agree. Empathy is central to Christianity. Not wanting empathy is a very dangerous idea. That is how we get to Auschwitz. That is how we get to the Inquisition. That is how we got to the Trail of Tears. So I wanted to take a look at what a Christian might do in a similar situation where you find something that you're not in agreement with and that you want to change the perception and the action of others. And a very good example of that is Paul in Acts 17. He's in Athens, the center of European thought, from which flows much of American democracy. And he's at the center of the center of the center of Greek life and thought. And he comes to Athens and he looks around and he's not very happy. He's distressed because people are worshiping many gods. Now, Paul knows all about what it is to hate. He was very good at hating. He started his life in the Bible as one who hated Christians, had a letter in his pocket that would allow him to rest and condemn any Christian that he found. And he was struck down one day and he was transformed. And after that, he gets to Athens and he's upset. So he goes on, and Luke says that he reasons in the synagogue. He talks to the Jews there. He talks to like-minded Greeks, and he expresses himself. He talks about the resurrection. He talks about Jesus. He gives the message. And a group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers hear about what he's got to say. Is this guy crazy or what? So they decide to invite him to a judicial council, which is called an Areopagus. It's near the Acropolis in Athens, the center of democracy. Right? And Paul looks around and says, I know you guys are very religious. I can see that. I know you're trying very hard. Now, what he's talking to are the woke philosophers of his day. Remember that Socrates was executed because it was said that he was trying to meddle with the minds of the youth. So Paul says, I see that you're very religious. I see all these gods around here, and I want to talk to you about this God over there, because there's an altar over there, and there's an inscription there, and it says, to the unknown God. And that's the God I want to talk to you about. The smallest, the literally forgotten God. That's the God that I want to talk to you about. And then he tells the story of Christianity. He tells about Jesus and the resurrection, and he says, he has this wonderful phrase about God. He says, for it is in him that we move and are and have our being. But the thing about it is, that is not his statement. He's quoting from a poem by a Greek philosopher in an invocation to Zeus. And he's using that and he's turning it around and he's saying, look, I'm bringing you something different. I'm bringing you a God that knows your pain, knows your hurt, that died for you and is coming back. If you want to hear more, let's go. And sure enough, Dionysus, who later becomes Dionysus the Areopagite, an early saint of the church, and a woman named Damaris, 2 men and women are named, and a number of others go with him. Paul reasons. He does not slander. His is a religion of attraction. His is a religion of empathy. His is a religion of compassion. And anything that we do to teach empathy and compassion as a foundational idea will make this world a better place. Go and do likewise. God bless.